Gotcha.
Hey, how's it going everybody? It's Thegameconomist, and today we're working on the claws. I went with the dark build on the weapon, of course, just because I'm trying to get the AR up, and I still didn't break 400. In fact, it doesn't get very good scaling in dexterity or strength, but I ended up putting points in there anyways because I had extra points left over, and I still didn't break 400. I can say that they don't weigh very much, and they don't use a lot of stamina, so you don't really have issues with that. You can wear heavier armor if you want. You can really spam the weapon if you want. I guess those are nice. Also, in the offhand, you do get a parry. So you see this strange situation where I'm not putting it in my right hand. I'm actually using the weapon from my left hand, because when I move from double wielding it to just, having it in one hand, I have access to a parry. So you see that I have the whip with me. The whip kind of covers, the whip helps me with a little bit more of my spacing. And it just gives me an unparryable option, which is really important here because since I don't deal a lot of damage, I'm going to have to hit the enemy a lot, and that gives them more opportunities to parry me, so the whip's just helping out with that. So here you have a weapon that doesn't have very good range, and it doesn't have very good damage, so the next thing you kind of have to look at is the moveset, right? Probably the thing that sticks out about the claws is the weapon art, which is the same weapon art the Onikiri and the Ubadachi have. Felt like it had a little more forward momentum on that weapon art, but it doesn't really matter in the end. There's two things that are still a big problem with it. Just like the Onikiri and the Ubadachi, it misses all the time. The tracking on it is bad, and the hitbox is bad. Like, your opponent can be right under you, and you can jump right into them, and it just misses entirely. And the reason that happens, of course, is because your opponent is also attacking, and some animations, or maybe just the timing of the animation, it lines up in such a way that the move just goes over their head and misses them entirely. The second part that was really bad about the weapon art is I discovered it's not a true combo with the L1. When you're using Onikiri or Ubadachi weapon art, you can go into the L1 and get a big combo for a lot of damage. This essentially allows you to win trades with the Onikiri Ubadachi. With claws, I had somebody roll out of the combo. After I landed the weapon art, I was going for the L1, he just rolled right out of it. Okay, so you don't actually get a true combo with the weapon art on the claws, which is very bad. Because other than that, the claws don't have a lot going for them. Their neutral R1 is bad. Their neutral R2 is just okay. You can use it as a roll catch. The running R1 is bad. The rolling R1 is this really interesting thing where you can roll any direction, right? You've got the omnidirectional roll, and then when you activate the rolling attack, it's going to roll towards your opponent and try to poke them. So it's kind of this cool, nifty little thing, but it doesn't matter because you have no damage on the rolling attack. You hit for like 100 maybe, and so if your opponent just swings one time, they're going to punish your rolling attack for a lot. The rolling attack just doesn't deal enough damage. That leaves you kind of like with your L1 moveset. Your L1 moveset, you've got the neutral L1, which actually deals a fair amount of damage, but it's impossible to catch anybody with it because it comes out, the windup on it is just really bad, right? At the same time, when you activate the neutral L1, you're stuck in that animation, so your opponent can bait the L1 out and then punish it. And then you have probably the only good move on the moveset is the running L1. The running L1 comes out very fast and has decent range, and it has decent damage too. It deals like 250 per hit. If you land both parts of it, it has an opening part and then an ending part. I think the opening part comes out so fast that your opponent doesn't have a lot of time to react to it, right? And it actually, since it has two parts, it's also not bad at roll catching, right? If the first part misses, the second part can actually land and nick your opponent who's coming out of a roll. Oh, I forgot to mention also you have the rolling L1, which is just kind of pointless. It doesn't have enough forward momentum, and it looks like your opponent can be on the left side of you and the move will just miss them entirely. Of course, if you one-hand the claw in the offhand, which is what you see me doing, I don't have it in my right hand, I have it in my left hand. When I go to holding it in one hand, I'm able to activate a parry, and that's just kind of useful sometimes against noobs. It's not really going to help you against really, really crazy good players, but it paired pretty well with the whip, I'll say that, because you still, it's interesting. I've used the rapier, the regular rapier, And the rapier is kind of the same way. It's a short-range weapon with an attack and a parry. Well, claws were kind of like that too. They've got an attack and a parry, but they're shorter by one space than the rapier, which isn't true for mannequin claws, which is something I'm going to try later. I'll be doing mannequin claws at some point. They're the last fist claw weapon that I haven't done a video on. Well, aside from the cestus, right? So yeah, overall, the claws felt very, very weak. They had their moments, like when you catch an opponent with the neutral L1 and you deal like 500 damage, and other moments perhaps when you're using the running attack repeatedly and it's just landing over and over again until you get an opponent who has a really fast weapon and they're like, hey, I'll just trade into the L1, right? But those moments were too far and in between. I lost a fair amount of duels with this weapon, and I'm going to have to give it a bad rating, unfortunately, because of that. I think that it probably belongs in the D tier as well. I guess I could consider it for this C tier. It's just, they're really, really bad. They lack so many things. Damage, range, true combos, just like a decent moveset maybe. Like roll catching with these is so challenging. You know what I mean? You can maybe roll catch with the R2 sometimes. You can go for an R1, but you basically, if you're going to roll catch them with the R1, each time you swing, you have to swing from point blank range. It's ridiculous. So D tier it is for this weapon, and I want to thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Oh my gosh, you guys! I just want to thank y'all so much!